Hello everyone, this is Plankara, and welcome to my universe. Today we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. Yesterday I finished all the cardinal directions and went and did a bunch of touch-ups on things. And so now it is time to jump back into doing more hair. And touch up the hair. So when I was looking at things this morning, I recall that I lowered a bunch of stuff, a few vertices here, and it was kind of making the big poof on the top of her head look funny. So I needed to put that back. Yeah, there we go. Now it doesn't look quite so funny. I do think it looks extremely poofy still, though. So I'm wondering if there's a good way I can fix this. Let's think about that for a second here. What is it that is bothering me about that? Let's see exactly how it moves. This is one of those cases where it's possible I won't completely be able to get it to look right, but I would like to try. Let me go look up some of her art real quick, because if I recall, there are a few where she's looking to the side. From some of her just official in-game images. So this way I can at least try to see how the artist that initially drew her handled some of these things. That big old poof on her head there. Although I'm seeing that in some of her other art, it doesn't show quite as strongly, so it's entirely possible that it's just there because in her default image there, the default portrait, she's looking down slightly. And that does seem likely, because I don't see it especially strongly in any other image. Okay, so that would explain why I'm having a little bit of a hard time figuring out what to do with it. Because it seems like even the official artist agrees that it is perhaps a little bit silly looking in other contexts. So let's see what I can do to make it look at least a little bit better here. That's probably going to take some experimentation, trial and error, and all that good stuff. So let's get started. Let's try some things. I'm going to try to push it a little bit over to the side. I don't know if this will help. But at the very least it looks okay while I'm turning it like this. Still gonna make most of the changes in the mesh group for now, just to get it started, and then I'll clean up afterward. This way I can move everything at once and make my life as easy as possible. If I recall, when I first did the left and right head turn, I did not use the mesh group very effectively, and it probably caused me a bit of unnecessary suffering. So I'm trying to learn from those mistakes and make better use of it. We're gonna try to make all this stuff look nice here. I almost kind of feel like with the way this is turning, I almost kind of want to show like a back spot there. Or like maybe we see a little bit behind it, but I didn't draw anything like that, so that's not an option I have. But I guess it's worth keeping in mind for the future. For any future rigs I do. Maybe I want this part to actually go a little bit further forward. My goodness, it's just so poofy. So poofy. But I do think that looks a little bit better than it did before. Right idea. So maybe what I actually want, instead of sending that back, is I want this top part here to look almost a little bit more square. If that's the best way to describe it, because like right now I'm having kind of follow the shape of her skull a little bit, and the skull is round, at least on the top. So I had been operating under the assumption that I would also want the hair to look round. And normally that's a pretty safe assumption. But I got kind of a weird shape going on here. So maybe I want this top part to almost be a little bit more square. Because yeah, now we're starting to get really poofy again. Okay, let's back up here. Let's back up a little more even. Man. Not quite, huh? Right now I'm just trying to view it as a static image. Can I get this view to not look quite as strange as I feel like it does? It's okay, yesterday I knew I was only getting this started, and that I didn't necessarily get especially far. So it gives me plenty of room to just kind of play around and figure out how to perfect this. So if I'm being honest, I have no idea right now. No idea whatsoever. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Kind of figuring out the right side. I'm trying to match the poof a little bit better there. That's probably why I had her back hair so poofy the first time. This way, if this looks a little bit poofy, as long as this is kind of poofy too, maybe it'll balance out. Maybe, if I'm lucky. And that's what my brain is thinking right now. So, just trying to find the right level of poof on both sides. So I admit, where I had it before I started making these changes just made the back of her head look really, really big. And almost kind of disconnected. So it was perhaps a little bit too strange. But so far so good here. Let me grab the side bang here. No, the other side bang. This needs to be going much further to the left here. Maybe once I get some of these things poofing right, it'll make other stuff look a little bit better too. Make things look a little bit less oddly poofy up there. But this is one where I have to move the strand individually, as opposed to using the mesh group. Because I don't want the hair underneath to be moving around like this. And I can already tell that this is going to be held to put back into place, but I want to get the right general idea here. Make it look more like her bang is swinging over. Yeah, something like that. Never mind that it looks totally wrong for the time being, but it's better than it was. That's what's important right now. I'm not trying to get everything right into the right place here, just sketching. Just sketching. That's all this is. A sketch to get my ideas down and a better understanding of what I'm trying to do here. And we're just not gonna mind that this strand is now just hanging out in the middle of nowhere now. I don't know, that might be poofing out a bit too far now. Yeah, I think so, actually. Okay, let's put it back. Try again. I think today is going to be a lot of trial and error. Well, I try to figure out exactly where I want some of these things to be going. So what I do know is that I at least want the tips here to be kind of coming out a little bit. The top I probably moved just a little bit too much there. But I really don't think the tips were coming out enough. Yeah. Something like that, once I clean it up, might work. And then maybe a little bit more just right over here. No, not there. Okay, I'm gonna need a smaller brush for this. Just like right over here. Because when I look at the original, before I started deforming any of this, the angle on this part right here is very straight. You can see it's very straight. It does curve in a little bit, but I don't think that curve will be quite as strong at this angle. So maybe something like that will be a little bit better. And again, never mind that the tips are going to be off for a while I figure out exactly where that needs to be going here. Okay, but I think there's promise here. And then I think I want to floof out right here just a little bit. Just a little. I want it to be just a little bit rounder. Have that follow the shape of her skull a little bit better. And then I'm back to figuring out, oh man, what do I do with this poof? So much poof. Look at how poofy that all is. Okay, so then we have... There's an underneath part and the strand on top of it. I feel like both of these should be moving a little bit to the right. Especially this part. I keep wanting to hold down shift and in order to resize my brush, because that's how you resize brushes in Krita. Okay, and once again ignoring all the squirming there. Does that look a little bit better? It's definitely going to take some time to get everything back into the right place. But I do think that improved certain parts. Just gotta kind of poof some of this back out here. I remember how particular I was the first time through. I wonder if my past self was a little bit sad seeing some of this. But it's okay, I think it's for the best. Let's floof out the lower part of that strand too. Make it just a little bit rounder right through here. Just a little bit. I thought it was looking just a little bit too flat there with all the other changes I was making, but there we go. Now it's looking a little bit rounder. Now the real question, do I keep it like that? Or do I, like, grab this strand and just tuck the entire thing away? Let's do some science. This will either go swimmingly or horribly. We're going to ignore the other strands for now and just get a general idea. Yeah, I do feel like that is a little bit too strong. I wouldn't be surprised if I tried something like that the first time. Do have to trust my past self to a degree. She definitely knew what she was doing. Where is that strand? It was behind, right? There he is. I'm gonna tuck in this part a little bit here. We see the top, but some of it is like going behind her head. Like, probably not exactly like that, but something like that. That's the idea, at least. Yeah, I think that's making her hair look slightly less poofy, while still keeping all the poof in the right places. Amazingly, back here doesn't look nearly as bad as I feared it might with all the interference I've been doing. Just all the shenanigans I'm trying to pull here. I want to make this area a little bit rounder here. And even though I'm adjusting individual vertices here, I'm still just in the sketching phase, where I'm just trying things. I actually do feel like most of the hair looks pretty good. At this point, I'm just going in and making it even better. That's the goal. I probably could have left it as it was, but it's like, why would I leave it when I can make it even better? Yeah, now her head doesn't look quite as massive. And everything's kind of coming together. Let me see, do I want to perfect this side before I start doing big picture on this side? I think I do, actually. Okay. And I'm gonna have to adjust this side bang a little bit because it needs to cover the gap between the head and the ear here. So I just need to pull this out a little bit there. And then pull this down just a little bit here. Don't want that big gap between the head and the ear to be showing. That looked a bit strange. And maybe now I can actually get away with the ear being just a click to the left. Cover up that gap just a little bit more. Yep, that's perfectly fine. I think I can even get away with doing one more. Just really keep those spots together. Make sure it's properly tucked behind the hair, because I did not separate this in mind with the ear properly connecting to the head. That's why when you take away the hair, the ears just look incredibly funny. I mean, look how ridiculous that is. Look at this thing. What's even going on there? This is why I said that making a bald toggle would take a bunch of extra work. Somebody asked me about that once, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do a bald toggle. That sounds like it would be really hard. Alright. So I think I'm going to start with this bang on the right side here, that being her right, and that's why I was getting confused on my left and right there. I was just thinking of something funny. My husband and I were playing more Baldur's Gate 3 today. And I had just kicked Astarion, the rogue, out of the party in order to make room for some other people to do some of their side quests. And I didn't really feel like bringing him back in when we came across a locked door. I could have just brought him in for a second to unlock it. But it's like, man, I'd have to sit through like 2 loading screens, and who wants to deal with that? So instead, I just had Will use Eldritch Blast on the door and blew it up. I had some townspeople looking very disapprovingly at me. But it's okay, we got through the door. That door is no longer there. It cannot be in our way because it is no longer a door. It is simply a door frame. There was just something very amusing about it. Just being too lazy to go get the guy that can actually pick locks. And I know, strictly speaking, anybody can pick locks, but... look, our numbers weren't very big. And it was easier just to blow it up. We had also discussed playing through the game with like a different one of my characters, because right now the one that I'm playing is generally heroic. She's just very rude and kind of mean. So we're thinking about what some of these scenes might be like with a character that like actively likes to mess with people, for example. And things can probably get very, very rude. I doubt we'll do a second playthrough together, but we'll see if I feel like doing a second playthrough by myself just to see what happens in certain areas. Because part of me is curious. I do think the game has a bit of a conveyance problem in that I don't always know what some of the choices that I pick and play. Like, I think people have made jokes about it in revolving around romance options with party members and stuff, and how just being nice to them, the party members act like you're flirting with them. I haven't run into that too much with this character because she's very mean, but still. I think it goes beyond even that. There's just some areas that I'm just like, well, that escalated quickly. Now, I'm thinking of Inktober again. Today's prompt, I think, was Rome, which is another one of the ones that kind of has a lot of overlap with some of the previous ones, so I'm a little bit less excited about it. I have a slight burp here, excuse me. I'm not sure what I want to do with it, really. I was looking through some of my initial notes, and I thought about doing another seascape thing with this, and I might. But it's not really speaking to me right now. There's been a few where I just read the prompt and I'm just like, ah, yes, I know exactly what to do. This is not one of those. I'm kind of ambivalent on my current idea, so I might just doodle something and call it good. See if my random doodles can get me some cool ideas like it did yesterday. And good news, I finished editing all the videos. So for the time being, I've been uploading 2 every day instead of just 1. And I will keep doing that until I've caught up, and I am posting the time-lapse for the image that I drew that day, on the same day as I drew it. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do that, but frankly, once I got the hang of editing things, I think I can now do an edit for a quick video like that in probably like 5 minutes. Double that if you count the rendering time. It takes a few minutes to render videos. And even longer if I have to make edits after rendering it, but it's okay. This is simple enough that I haven't had too much trouble. Makes me happy though, because the first time that I edited one of those, it took me probably like 30 or 40 minutes to get the first one. But now I've figured it out, and I know what buttons to hit, and everything is much easier. Even with the somewhat oppressive feeling time constraints on my drawing time in order to put out a new image every day, I still feel like I have enough time to edit a quick video. It's wonderful. It's a good place to be. Now, if only the tip of this strand of hair would cooperate with me. But it doesn't want to. It wants to be crunchy for some reason. Why would you want to be crunchy? I don't understand, little strand. Being crunchy just looks so bad. Perhaps it's just me being superficial. Okay, maybe this will be fine. Let's back up and see if it bothers me. A little bit, honestly. Okay, let's fix the big strand, and then I'll come back to the tiny one. Because I think the big strand has more problems right now. It's got like this big thing, all just sticking out like that. So I'll just go bring this back in a little bit. Try to pull everything back in here. It's gonna get some of these vertices real close to each other. I hope they're friends. Because otherwise I might get a little bit uncomfortable here. We shall see what happens here. I'm gonna hide the back hair for a second too, just so I can see a little bit better. It's alright, while we're working on hair, baldness is just to be expected. Just gonna give her all the new hairstyles. I think it's funny that some of them actually end up looking surprisingly good. Some of them, though, they're quite silly. This one is one that is very much quite silly. Because, I mean, if I zoom out, it's like, look at this. There's just like a big old hole right there. I don't even know what's happening there. But otherwise, I feel like I can see fine, so I'm just leaving the other strands in there for now. I like keeping in as many as I can. I actually really like the swing I was able to put on this. Looks like I was able to preserve a lot of it. I mean, look at that. Isn't that kind of interesting looking? I think it's pretty cool. Just the way this tip looks like it's going further back into the distance. So I'm pretty happy with that. Well, let's see if I can get this to be a slightly nicer shape here. Match the shape of the original a little bit better. Yeah, that's a lot better, I think. I think I still need to poke at some stuff right over here. But I think I can actually get away with making things slightly thicker right through here. And to get the angle on this rights this way, I can kind of keep that turning into the distance look. That's on that bang. Yeah. Yeah. Just gotta perfect it. Well, there is to it. Alright, let's go ahead and reattach the strand that I accidentally didn't bring over. Where is it? No, seriously, where is it? Okay, there we are. It was hiding from me for a second there. Alright, and I also want to look around the face. Make sure that I have things turning right in that regard. Yeah, I think so. I will need to adjust the shadow. But otherwise, I think things are looking alright. Get this strand working with everything. Have it curl in a similar way. Not quite there, but it's a start. Let me curl the tip a little bit more. And just shift all these vertices upward. I can tell that this is one of those days where my brain is very strongly on vacation. Because it's like, man, when we were playing games, my husband and I, that is, I just kept getting turned around in all the silliest of ways. You have no idea how many times I walked across a bridge, like 3 or 4 times, before I finally remembered which direction I needed to be going. Brains are kind of funny like that. But I'm not surprised. I had some trouble sleeping. Kept having very anxious dreams. People coming in, taking my stuff, moving things around into the bedroom. Some things that waking me knows doesn't even exist. Somehow while I'm asleep, I managed to convince myself that there should be something in a specific spot. And when it's not there, my brain kind of freaks out. But of course I'm asleep, so I mean it makes sense in the context of being asleep, just not in the context of being awake. So sometimes it takes me a few minutes of being awake to realize, wait, brain, what are you talking about? It's deeply unfortunate. I've had a lot of problems with sleepwalking, and it can sometimes make it hard to get a good night's sleep. I'm doing my best. That's all I can really do. Let me see here. So this is why I find myself kind of needing to look at something a few times before I feel like I actually understand what I'm doing. It's just one of those days. It's okay. I'm overall pretty satisfied with my progress, actually. It being one of those days is just something you gotta face when you're doing something every day. And even when it's one of those days, it's actually pretty rare that I just don't work on something. I don't know, it's how I roll. It's why I'm able to get stuff done. And I don't think there's any shame to it. I'm making some progress, and that's certainly better than making none. We'll see what the me of tomorrow thinks of the work the me of today has done. But personally, I do think things look better than they did when I woke up. And any progress is better than no progress. I'm also continuing my writing adventures. Haven't really figured out some of my issues with getting started. But, I'm working on it. I'm working on that too. Working on so many things. There's just so much to do. So much to do, so much to be curious about. Life is amazing. Embrace the stress. It'll feel good in the long run. Or maybe that's just what I keep telling myself. But no, unironically, I do think my life is better when I'm at least a little bit stressed. It's like when you're not stressed at all, life is just boring. If you're not stressed at all, you're probably not doing anything. My husband and I were talking about this the other day, about the nature of emotions. And, it kind of came up in terms of, from Baldur's Gate. But it's something that he's thought about a lot in regards to, like, AI and synthetic intelligences and stuff. Would a man-made personality, you know, an AI, have emotions? And I mean, to us, the answer is like, well, obviously yes, but why? And the best way that we could think of to put it was, if you have a goal, which any AI would, because presumably whoever is programming them wants them to do something, then not being able to make that goal or achieve that goal would, by definition, result in a degree of fear. Like, oh no, I can't do the thing. And if you have fear that you might not be able to achieve a thing, that would also mean that there's the desire to achieve it in the first place. And then there's the nature of emotions in humans in general, and for the most part, they're just things that your brain does to motivate you into action. Like, people act like negative emotions have no place, but it's like, nah, those are the strongest ones. They do a good job. Because it's like when you feel ashamed of yourself, well, that's just your brain telling you, get up, dumbass! Go fix this! This is terrible! We should be different. Or if you're really mad at something, I've heard that that's a response to something threatening your territory, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it happens when something is threatening something that you own, but I think it can also just, at least for me, I get it a lot when something just offends me. Like when I'm offended that something exists, or maybe even a little bit sad that something happened this way. And it kind of makes me think of, maybe I could do it better. Like, let me see, the best way I could explain this feeling was when I played Wuthering Waves. Did not play it for very long. Occasionally I go poke it, but I just don't have much time for a lot of things, and the game is not good enough to make me want to make time for it. But it honestly just made me sad and angry in a lot of ways, because I could tell that the people working on it wanted to make something good, and there were a few places where the absolute love that the developers had and the designers had shone through. But so much of it, I think, was just led by corporate and marketing. And it was trying way too hard to be Genshin Impact, instead of having its own identity, and that just made me sad. But it wasn't like the sadness that comes from, like, grief or that kind of thing. It's just like, how dare! I feel so bad for the developers that wanted to try to make something, but then the higher-ups were just like, no, Genshin Impact did it like this, and we want to make all the money, so you're doing it like this too. And I think it could have been a much better game if it was allowed to embrace its own identity, instead of just being Genshin Impact with sweatier combat. So yeah, C-motions are funny things. And I do think it is entirely possible to create artificial beings that have emotions, and I do think it is very possible for machines to have emotions, if we go by how I define them. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter whether your processing computer is made out of sand or meat. It's gonna process information and spit out a result. That's all our brains really do. No, I think that looks worse. Let's back it up. Let me see. What do you look like here? Smooth curve. Okay. I think I know what to do. Been flailing at this for a little bit, so hopefully this is the answer that I've been looking for. Smooth curve. Make that curve nice and smooth. By the way, if you're ever interested in any of the topics that I discuss on stream, feel free to message me on any social media platform or say hello in the comments. I am happy to talk about them. I will respond to you whenever I have time. Even if you can't make it live, happy to talk about it with you via more asynchronous methods, like comments or messaging. Let's see, how we doing? Obviously still crunchy there. But I think it is progress. This strand. Man, I'm used to the tips giving me some trouble, but this little guy here. This little guy here, I don't think it knows what is going on. I just feel like I ask it a question and it just like shrug. Shrug. Does not know. It's okay, I'll try to get rid of all these crunchy spots. Because they don't look very good. Just pull out some of these vertices a little bit here. See if that helps a little bit. No, it still looks really crunchy. Mesh, help me. Please share your wisdom. So that I may get this strand done before it is time for me to go eat. Okay. I hear you. I hear you, Mesh. You're right. Something's near the tip. We're going a little bit too far back. We gotta do a nice, smooth curve. Nice, smooth curve. Like, this isn't smooth yet, but don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. No, that doesn't look good at all. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should leave this for when my brain is a little bit more intact. Right now I just feel like it's in several different places. One of them probably out on vacation on the beach. Yeah, I think I'll save this for some other time because at this point I am flailing. Let's go turn on the other layers. So let's see, what other things did I change that needs some fixing up here? Okay. So we have this and we have this. We're gonna hide the behind. Okay. So we'll have a slight bald spot on the top for a little bit, but that's okay. That's totally fine. We're just gonna fix up this part right here. I'm not gonna worry too much about this spot not being filled in right. That'll come a bit later. Right now what I want to do is figure out the correct amount of poof. Right around here. So I feel like I can potentially poof this out a little bit more. As long as I poof things out correctly in that area. Let me turn this back on and zoom out and take a look. Like, I know that squirming is obviously wrong, but I want to see if the way it poofs out looks good or if it looks weird. Looks weird. Okay. Okay. So I can trust. I can trust my eyes here. Because I know this looks weird now. Okay, so this is a case of I had a concept and it's wrong. It doesn't work. We're gonna throw that concept out. It's okay. That's what science is for. testing something and seeing if it works or not. It's like if there was no need to test it, well, then it wouldn't be science, but we'd already know the answer, right? That's just how that works. Okay. So I'm trying to get some of these highlights back into place here. And I get the feeling things are going to be squirming for a little bit here. That's alright. Oh, autosave helping me out. Doing its best. I keep losing the strand here. It's okay. Hopefully my brain will be back tomorrow. Hopefully tonight I will have less weird dreams that make me sleepwalk. But there is only so much I can do about that. Sometimes my brain is just an adventure too. It goes places. It sees things. And some of those things are, quite strange. I'll leave it at that. It's quite strange. Fortunately, that kind of thing only happens in my sleep. The worst I have to deal with when I'm awake is that I have some floaters, as they're called, in my eyes. Which is just, apparently some of my eye jelly is somewhat, coagulated. And it makes me see black spots in my eyes sometimes. Because, like, there's literally things floating around in my eye jelly. And as far as I can tell, this is not something that really gets fixed. Wouldn't be surprised if they offered some kind of eye surgery or something for it, but my optometrist said that this wasn't something that you really do anything about. You just kind of deal with it. Fortunately, it's not that obtrusive. Although I admit, on days where I am way more anxious than usual, sometimes I keep seeing spiders out of the corner of my eyes, and that sucks. But that's about the worst thing I ever have to deal with. Oh man, I am just very afraid of spiders. So when I see the floaters squirming around in my peripheral vision, and it looks like spiders, it's just very unsettling. Makes my hair stand up on end and makes it feel like my skin is crawling. Not a good time. Fortunately, it doesn't happen often. I have to be pretty tired for that to happen. Because floaters do not actually look that much like spiders at all. And they look more like little wisps of cloud or something. It's probably the best way I can think of to describe it. Just wisps of cloud or string. I think my brain might be reaching its limit in this area too, so I might just go derp around on the other side for a bit. Come back to this tomorrow. It's alright, I've tried some things. I'll just do some big picture stuff for the last few minutes I plan to stream today. Kinda just start getting everything into place, and then hopefully the me of tomorrow armed with a stronger brain, a brain that can understand this world and put things together for me, will come and solve all my problems. I believe in you, future self. You got this. So yes, present me will just do what she can. But look at me here, able to get rid of some amount of sliding and other unpleasantness. So this way, my future self will at least have a little bit less to deal with. I can do that much for her. After all, that is why I work on stuff every day. Even if I am not feeling my best. Do it for the future self. The future self will appreciate it. You know, if I can actually make that kind of the way the pink part here is twisting against this red part, if I can actually make that look good, I think it'll be pretty cool. Let's just say I approve. So I think it's doing better. Okay, let's look somewhere else. What else do I need to fix? I feel like I actually already fixed a lot of the stuff on the left side. Her left, my right. Pretty well already. It's nice. It's nice not having to worry about too much. Just gonna kind of clean up these last little bits right here. Try to get everything just right. Not sure if I can do that in my current state, but I can try. Never underestimate my ability to just flail until it works out for me. Never give up, never surrender. Someday, the art will just get bored of running. And will surrender to me. That's how I see it. Just like how our ancestors used to hunt the woolly mammoth. Just chase after it. Annoy it to death. Until it just gives up and dies. I actually can't remember if humans were alive at the same time as mammoths, but the idea is the same. That is how humans actually used to hunt. Didn't throw weapons at them, just kept following them until they gave up and died. To me, it's just one of those incredible facts about humanity and its tenacity. I've heard people make jokes about, how did humans manage to rule the world? And, well, the answer seems pretty obvious to me. We didn't give up. Forget the brain, it's just the refusal to lose. Following the same animal for days, weeks. Until it just can't deal with it anymore. There's just something so beautiful about it. I love it so much. Humanity is amazing. It really is. I appreciate everything that our ancestors have done for us. All the things they did that just allowed us to exist. It's wonderful. The way we were able to systematically solve our problems and all that good stuff. I think it's great. The world is hilarious. Alright, and once I think I have the basics of that highlight on this strand, the kind of light pink part right through here, in a place that I think looks really good. And I think I'll leave it there for today. My brain just does not know what is going on. So I'm kind of limited in the amount of detail I can work out of all this. But I think I did pretty good here. Alright, yeah, I think I will stop there for today. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or at me on the social media platform of your choice, and I will take a look and maybe leave some comments. I will see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.